Okay, awesome. I think we're ready to get started. So welcome in everyone. Hope everyone's having a good week so far. So yeah, today I'm trying something kind of new. We're gonna just attempt this live on stream. I haven't done too much prep work for this. Basically, the general idea is that we will take a open source Minecraft server implementation, which the actual project we're going to start from has not been fully decided yet, but we have a couple of options. We're going to take that and then use SpacetimeDB as the actual data storage layer. Or at least that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with SpacetimeDB mainly just being the data store layer. And then from there, we're actually going to start migrating some of the reducers over to SpacetimeDB. And then from there, we can kind of see, I guess, how it compares just running, running on SpacetimeDB versus the actual Rust server implementation. So. Okay, so Minecraft beta 1.7.3. So maybe we can actually like pull this open. So yeah, you'll notice there's like not even like a hunger bar. You can't sprint. Like we're talking like super basic. And I think actually this is probably our best chance of actually getting this working and running is going to be on this version. But I mean, if you'll notice, like this still has like, all of like what I would consider the features that like actually makes Minecraft like really fun to play. I think we're present in this version. Okay, cool. So this is Minecraft 1.7.3. This is what's compatible with this guy. So we'll give this a try. I think we just cloned this, right? Yeah. Okay. So cargo build release. So I think what we have to do here is just do localhost here. It'll be interesting actually taking a look at this because I'm like quite familiar with the Bitcraft code as well now in terms of how they store things and like the data types and stuff. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, how Minecraft is doing some things. Maybe we could try connecting. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so it seems like it actually works. Well, this is cool. Okay. So let's try like mine something. Okay, so the basics seems to be working. It seems like the absolute like basics are working, which is I think exactly what we need. So this is cool. So we'll hit disconnect here. Cool. All right, well, let's jump into the code then. I think what I should do probably is have this project maybe inside of like if I do mkdir, so let's see, I want to do, all right, let's see, spacetime init, SpacetimeDB -Minecraft Rust. Okay, so if I do SpacetimeDB Minecraft here, and then I'm going to move MC173 maybe into here. I'm going to move that back to where it was and just go through here for a second. So the first thing I wanted to do just today is get some of these types converted over. So we should be able to go to, for example, okay, block, right? So block entity, chest, okay. Okay, interesting. So we have air, stone, grass, dirt, cobblestone. So this is where all the blocks, oh, okay, actually, this is substantially less blocks if you look at this list. So we have what? 53, approximately 100 blocks. So this is like approximately 100 blocks versus the other project I think probably had closer to like 200 or 300 different types of blocks, so substantially less. Okay, so what we need to do as the first step in this is copying over all the types from the Minecraft server and then getting them into the SpacetimeDB project. So what I might just start with, and I'm probably going to change this later, just so it's not as jank, but for now I'm just going to copy. I think I want to take this MC173 Yeah, I want to take this and then just say MC173-types. Okay, so I'm just going to do mkdir source and then move lib into source. That was the issue. All right, so all I've done is I've taken the Minecraft server types and I have just moved those into my like SpacetimeDB project, and I've converted the project to a workspace format. Cargo search expand. Okay, macro to expand byte string. That's not what I want. Cargo expand. Okay, Rust. Okay, wrapper around Rusty Z Zunpretty expanded. Okay, so we're gonna do cargo install cargo expand. Oh, beautiful. Okay, this is exactly what I wanted. So this just converts from any given ID to the name of that block is all this macro is doing for this. And then right under here, we have pub const ident u8 is equal to ID. So this is just defining, oh, I see. Okay, so then basically this is just gonna take air and that's gonna be a new identifier. It's gonna be a U8 and then it's gonna get set to this ID. So that's nice. And that must just be below this then. Okay, so this one will definitely have to be a spacetime type. Which means we'll have to go inside of SpacetimeDB Minecraft, and we're going to go inside of crates MC173, and we have to actually add SpacetimeDB as a dependency in here. So this is going to be dependent on SpacetimeDB 0.8.0 spacetime build. So we're going to then search for .rs. Okay, so there's enum in here, biome. Cool. So this will be spacetime type. We may have to change the way this is declared. That's a tuple struct, and we don't support them. Okay, all right, thank you, Phoebe. That's what I figured. So we might have to change this. This may have to be refactored into these having names. So this has a base, and it has a base kind, but these are unnamed. So we may have to mess with that. Is this basically, or sorry, F64, F64, U32. I think this is supported though if I do this instead. ModRS 77, so I'm going to leave it to do here as well. Convert this from tuple struct to named struct. I don't know how you would. What is the opposite of a tuple struct? A named struct? Just a regular struct. The original plan for implementation was going to be one, use SpacetimeDB as just a data store. So this means that basically for the first phase, Minecraft would still handle all of the logic and stuff like that, and we'd basically just we would just have the types. So this would be like phase 1. SpacetimeDB just as a data store. So this would be Minecraft client, then the Minecraft server actually would not just be a proxy. So in phase 1, Minecraft server actually still has the game logic, it has the types. It still needs to be able to convert from client's types to SpacetimeDB. Right, so it's got all of that. And then literally inside of SpacetimeDB, the reducers are only for the purpose really of storing data. So reducers for inserting, deleting, updating data. And then the tables themselves would do callbacks to the Minecraft server. And then the Minecraft server would use that information to relay back to the Minecraft client in here that are just straight up just not really compatible with SpacetimeDB. And to get around that, we may have to change some of the types. Okay. Let's see if he moves. Oh, he does move. Okay, cool. So it seems like entities are working. Yeah, like the cows are moving. The chicken was moving. Last night, as I always do at, you know, midnight, I started looking back at the code base, and I looked at it for a couple of hours. And what I did is I separated out a lot of the main concepts here in terms of what's there. I did go through basically the entire code base. And at one point I was actually like, I don't want to say I was like disappointed, but I was gonna say, I was like, I wanted this series to last maybe like a little bit over a month, where we could like work on this over like several streams, obviously. There's not a lot of features in 1.7.3 beta Minecraft. Like, this is like pretty much it in terms of functionality that we have to actually implement. So and by, I guess there's not a lot of different features. Like, there's a lot of content here, but if you know what I mean, like, there's not a lot of actual like there's nothing crazy in here is basically what I'm trying to get to. So basically the main plan for getting the entirety of 1.7.3 beta onto SpacetimeDB is actually moving each of these components individually. So yeah, there's not a lot of individual systems, and actually the systems that are here don't actually have a lot of code. So actually getting these moved over to SpacetimeDB shouldn't be too bad. So one thing I didn't actually know was enforced by the clients is the crafting table. So like, for example, the way that you organize things on this crafting table, you can obviously put these blocks in any vertical orientation like this to get sticks, right? So I can put these anywhere to get sticks, right? And that's cool. But this logic is actually only enforced by the clients. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if you go to the server and you go to the recipes in here, and recipes here. So these are all the recipes. And basically the client just says which one they want to make, and they just supply the items. So it's like, if you have sticks, which is in here somewhere. Yeah, stick. You're just saying, I'm going to give you 2 wood and you're going to give me sticks. That's all the server cares about. And that makes sense. It's just not something that I thought would be basically like entirely on the client. Okay. So something that's interesting that I thought about is this layer here is a little complicated. So in terms of how things get, how does the Minecraft server talk to SpacetimeDB, right? It's going to have to like serialize these types, and like these types might not necessarily be supported in SpacetimeDB. Like, for example, if we go to the world generation quick. So when you connect for the first time, I guess every time you connect, but you're going to download a bunch of chunks. Like, the server's going to send you a bunch of chunks, which is basically described by this guy. So we've got this block, which is a chunk array 3, which is just one actually big array. So this is just one big, I think that is actually backed by vec maybe. No, it's just a slice or array or whatever. So this is just a really long array of all of the individual blocks. This is fine, right? But there are some things in here where the type does not convert directly to a SpacetimeDB type, where it's like, oh, this might not work exactly in SpacetimeDB. Like, for example, here's like, this is like arc chunk, right? Like, that's not going to work. Here's an index map. That's not going to work in SpacetimeDB probably. Like, we could convert this to a type that would work, but that specifically is not going to work. Offline, I talked to the person who is making this lovely repository, which is a open source Rust implementation of Minecraft beta 1.7.3. They're actively developing this, and their code is like so good. Their code is so good. So basically, we're gonna take this and just re-massage it, reconfigure it into a format that SpacetimeDB can actually run. So we're just taking basically this existing open source project, which is licensed. What are we going to start with? And I guess I'll go back to the thing I was just talking about, is the types. And one thing that I've noticed is that there's a lot of types in this project that are not inherently going to be supported by SpacetimeDB, and we're going to have to change them. You'll see there's like a whole bunch of types in here that are just not going to be supported. Like there's this hash map and index map, not supported as far as I know. Although like technically we have a map type in SpacetimeDB. I'm not entirely sure if it works. I have not tested it myself, and I kind of think it probably doesn't work. B tree set, also not something we're going to be also supporting SpacetimeDB. So what we can do here, actually, something that's really interesting that I've kind of thought more about, and I think a good direction to go, is we're going to actually, inside of the SpacetimeDB project, we're going to change a lot of these types so that they can be used in SpacetimeDB. And then you might say, well, if you change the types, then it's going to be incompatible with the MC173 server. Something that's interesting is that if we go to the way that they're serializing their data, so like, for example, let's look at the way that they serialize chunks, for example. They have this thing called NBT, which I don't actually know what NBT stands for. I'm assuming it's notch binary something. As long as we abide by this protocol, everything will be okay. So as long as we can convert types to and from this NBT thing, we should be okay. So basically the MC173 server needs to be able to take a SpacetimeDB chunk, run it through NBT, and then deserialize it back into its chunk thing from scratch, basically where we had started last stream, which we structured it last time, I think, in the correct way. So I'm going to do spacetime init SpacetimeDB-Minecraft. Language is going to be Rust. Okay, so SpacetimeDB Minecraft. Then what we're going to do is we'll do mkdir crates, like how we did before, and then we're going to do mkdir crates module, and then we're going to move source into crates module. And I think we have to move this as well. So we're going to move cargo.toml into crates module like this. Okay, so then we're going to go into crates. And then we're going to copy. Let me look at MD. So all I did is I did cat SpacetimeDB, and then I just looked at this cargo toml and then stole this bit from the top, basically. So if we just take this cargo toml and we paste it. Okay, so now instead of all of this stuff, we're gonna have we'll have crates, and we'll have, instead of this, we're gonna have our module, and we have MC173. Okay, cool. So I think that actually built. Let's do it one more time. Okay, excellent. So we have a building project, which is always good. Okay, awesome. So world generation. Where are we going to start with world generation? So world generation is going to be interesting. I'd like to, I think, keep the MC173, like the MC173 that's inside of this project is going to be specific for this project. So I'm fine to go in here and start changing some things. So I think what we're going to have to do is, I guess, quickly take a look at how we're actually starting world generation. We are only generating, on the server at least, a 3 chunk radius around the player, which is interesting. So we have self-tracked chunks insert. Okay, and then we must start generating the world based off this tracked chunks. So the set of chunks that are already select, receive. Okay, start requests, reply. Okay, so if it's a request, we go here. Loader generates. Okay, so this is obviously where we're getting started here. So there's 2 worlds that they've defined here in like their code base. They've done this in kind of an interesting way. So the overworld and the underworld are like totally separate world entities, which makes sense. Like world has its own set of chunks and entities, and blocks and all of that good stuff. And then the Nether also has its own set of chunks and entities and all that good stuff, which probably makes sense. So here we are in the overworld terrain generation. We're going to create like a Java random and then generate the biomes, terrain, surface carving. Okay, excellent. So basically where I'm going to start is I want to maybe just be able to call generate terrain like from the spacetime module, just to see if we can get that working. But we have to change quite a lot of stuff here. So chunk generator for world generator. So we have the chunk seed, random, and then all this good stuff. So I think what we'll try to do actually is we're going to try to create a world object, and then we're going to try to do a similar thing to what MC173 here is doing. And we're actually going to try to call this chunk generator and get a chunk generated in SpacetimeDB. So, okay, so all we do is we are creating a new chunk storage, which chunk storage is not something that we're going to port over to SpacetimeDB, because the thing that's a little difficult with converting a lot of code is that we're also working in a different paradigm where like SpacetimeDB is transactional and you don't have to like worry about persisting changes and stuff like that. Like if it's part of the transaction, it's going to be persisted. So things like the chunk storage inherently are just not going to be needed. So likely just not going to be ported over. So we've got the seed in, and we will actually copy this as well. So we're going to have this new overworld generator in here. So I guess maybe like as part of a init, or maybe we should like make this a function call. So pub function generate world. We'll make this a spacetime DB reducer. So this is called from genTerrain, which this is inside of what? This is inside of chunk generator, which is not the thing that we currently have. We have overworld generator. And does this create? This must create a chunk generator at some point. Chunk. So we have this chunk genBiomes. State. What is the state thing, right? The state is this thing. It's this chunk generator. Okay, so how does this... this is a trait. Okay, this is a trait of the overworld generator. We have this thing. It should work. Like theoretically, we should be able to go and like create a new chunk. Okay, and we should be able to do like generator is equal to this, and we'll do generator dot generate train. So if we wanted to like generate the chunk at 0, 0, and then these terrain workers should all be pulling from the same channel. So like you can say, hey, give me 16 chunks, but the terrain workers will only pull 4 of them out of the channel at a time. And then whichever one finishes first is going to pull the next one. And then there's only going to be, 11 left in the channel to be pulled. Okay, excellent. So that's working. So it wouldn't be saved, but I do believe that we could generate a chunk right now in SpacetimeDB. Working on getting it saved would be the next thing. But I think actually if we ran this, it would actually generate the chunk, which would be somewhat interesting. There's nothing to see yet, obviously. Maybe we could give it a try, perhaps. Give it the old college try. I think this is good. So I should be able to do spacetime start. Maybe I'll do spacetime local clear. Excellent. I don't have a local database, so I'm going to do spacetime start. And spacetime publish Minecraft. Okay, cool. So now we have a new thing. Let's actually add some debug logs in so that we can see what's happening. So we'll say log info starting generation. And then after this, we'll say log info generation complete. We publish, then we're going to do spacetime call Minecraft. What is it? Create chunk, generate chunk, generate chunk. Okay, hop over to the logs here, and okay, cool. It says starting generation and generation complete. Okay, so it did not take an egregious amount of time. Yeah, 1.7 milliseconds approximately to generate one chunk, which actually is pretty quick. It seems like that's a long time, but actually that's pretty quick. So like from this dirt block to that dirt block to, you know, that to like approximately like where that tree is or whatever, a little bit past that tree. That's how big a chunk is. It's actually pretty small. And look at how many chunks there are. Like, look how far out I can see from here. Like, there's a lot of chunks on the screen right now. So now what we should work on now is actually, I think, saving the chunks. I believe maybe the best way to do it for now, I'm probably going to think about this more and come back and change it. But, like, we might want to define, like, a struct chunk storage here where this takes, like, a chunk. And then this chunk has to be a spacetime type. Yeah. One other thing we have to do is we have to add SpacetimeDB as a dependency here. So we do SpacetimeDB is equal to 0.8.0 because that's the latest release. Okay, then we have a nibble. Inner. We'll comment this out for now. So pub inner vec of u8. Have to be a vec as well. So we have height is a vec now of u8. Kind of want to go back on this. We're going to say pub block. What was this thing before? This was like chunk array 3 u8, I believe. Oh, it generates one for you. That's nice. Okay, cool. Very cool. Thank you. Oh, and it like ignores the spacetime stuff as well. That's kind of cool. Okay, cool. Thank you, spacetime. Actually, I've done Boppy here, so I'll just continue doing that. Okay, initial commit. Okay, just because we want to be able to play around with this a little bit, and we don't want to lose a bunch of work here. Okay, mismatched types. Okay, so here's where we're going to start getting the problem. So block now is no longer this chunk array 3 thing that it used to be. Now we have to like define a like vec of this type, right? So we have to say vec X amount of elements that has this thing in it. So like I want to create 32,000 entries in this block vector of this size that is all set to this type. We're going to say block, and this has to be values of block air. And then the size is going to be chunk 3D size. Okay, cool. Then same for height. So I'm going to comment this out. Do the same thing for height. And the same for biome. Let me comment this one out as well, like this. So we're going to do biome. Why is this const? It might be const. Otherwise it's a foot gun. I might be creating a foot gun here, but I'm going to make this not const. Technically we support this now, so I can say X, chunk X, or sorry, this is just whatever, X, I32, and then Y, Z, sorry, is I32, and then we should be able to do on here is SpacetimeDB table, and then index on this, so unique. So we should be able to look up chunks quickly if we do this. So what I'm going to just do is I'm going to insert this chunk into this table. So I'm going to do chunk storage, insert. I'm going to change this function to take an X and a Z. So X is going to be an I32, Z is going to be an I32. And all we're going to do is we're going to take X, Z, and then now this chunk, which we might have some issues. We have to do chunk storage. This has to be like a struct thing. So log error failed to generate, or sorry, failed to insert chunk. This is probably a constraint violation or whatever. I'm not going to use that. Yeah, this is failed to insert unique chunk. And actually that set chunk function will be going away, because setting the chunk in the world, we only do that because the world itself is like this thing that's saved to disk, and it's like the thing that holds on to all the chunks. But that is going to get migrated over to just being a SpacetimeDB table, so I'm fine to just break this code for now. So technically, I think in the way that it's written right now, it technically has to be an arc because of this. Because there's a hash map that maps from XZ to a specific chunk component. This chunk component just references a chunk. It has this option, which is an arc chunk. And the reason we need that is because now we're holding on to this chunk reference kind of basically in global state, which is not, the arc is basically going to make the borrow checker happy in this case. So we may have to delete a lot of the code around storing these chunks in this global thing, if that makes sense. Technically, I think in the way that it's written right now, it technically has to be an arc because of this. Because there's a hash map that maps from XZ to a specific chunk component. This chunk component just references a chunk. It has this option, which is an arc chunk. And the reason we need that is because now we're holding on to this chunk reference kind of basically in global state, which is not, the arc is basically going to make the borrow checker happy in this case. So we may have to delete a lot of the code around storing these chunks in this global thing, if that makes sense. But I think we require a little bit of research here in terms of the best way to move forward. So I think I'm probably going to call it here, if that's okay. I hope everybody's been enjoying the Minecraft series so far. I know we're getting into the details here, but I am going to do everything on stream. The only thing I'm doing off stream is I'm going to do research in terms of how to move forward. I'm not going to actually change any of the code like off a stream. All I'm going to do is figure out what's the best way to move forward, and then on stream actually do the code changes. And the series will also be available probably as a YouTube video series. So for anybody who misses an episode here or there, it will likely be on YouTube. I think there's still some details to figure out there, but it should happen. So I'll probably figure out someone to raid right now. Also, if you haven't already, consider following if you haven't already. And definitely check out our GitHub page for SpacetimeDB, because SpacetimeDB is available on GitHub. GitHub.com/SpacetimeDB. Cool.